There we are. Okay. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry about that. Start. We've got some technical issues, but we're our Sheikh with us, Abdul Wahid. Hold on 1 second. Assalamualaikum, Abdul Wahid.
نعم السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, so the reason why we're just gonna do a quick introduction. The reason why we're dealing with this specific topic from last week's discussion on mental health, the brother brought up the issue of we do have sisters in the mental health system, and one of the reasons is the husband's not looking after their children. Okay, this is what the mental health practitioner Ismail Hassan brought up last week. So that made me now bring up the issue of what is the role of the husband in supporting or holding together the family unit. Okay, so we all know that Allah has given the man a darajat over the woman. We know if their creation was to make such to another creation, it will be the woman to the man. In this part of the discussion or this chapter, we want to do, okay, if that is the case, what is the role of the man to be in that position? What type of man has to be in this role before he should expect his wife to be obedient to him and give her his right? So in this week, we're going to talk about the role of the man. Inshallah, next week, we'll talk about the role of the women. But I want to actually speak about how the man should be. What is his role? What is his maqam? What is his responsibility? And then going forward, inshallah, I'll ask you some more questions, inshallah. Further, Sheikh.
Okay, Bismillah, begin.
Yeah, further,
Can you
Sheikh.
hear me clearly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so alhamdulillah, I think Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu salam ala nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. There's a lot of obviously points that you mentioned even before the question. And looking at the role of the man, let's say, and I think the key word here is that he's a man. He has to act like a man and behave like a man and be responsible like a man, and that's where his value lies. I think one of the complaints, or one of the many complaints, that you hear from sisters with regards to perhaps their husbands, is that their husbands, they're immature. They don't act mature. They don't act responsible. They don't take kind of like the leadership, if for want of a better word. They don't embody or implement the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, الرجال قوامين على النساء, or الرجال قوامون على النساء, that the men are the maintainers of the women. They're the ones they're the leaders. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And I guess this is one of the key points, is that just in other words, just be the man. Okay, looking at that, then what does it mean to be the man in Islam? What's masculinity? Do you get what I mean? What is it to be a man?
Yes.
Obviously, one of the big issues that many of us face in the West, growing up in the West and stuff like that, is it goes, some of it will go back to your own upbringing, or our own or societal expectations of the relationship between the husband and the wife, and what we saw growing up as well. So this is where you find, for example, there's a lot of baggage that people may bring to a relationship that they don't necessarily want to give up straight away. So the man, he comes expecting to be treated a certain way. If he's not going to be, these type of things. All right. So in any case, the man, let's talk about being a man. What it means to be a man? What it means to be a man is your value lies in being a man. So the value, your value as the leader, or your respect, for example, in the relationship, the respect that the husband gets from the wife, not I'll say demands, but I won't say demand, he's entitled to. The respect
Yes.
that the husband is entitled to from the wife it comes from his value as a man. Okay, it's not something that he can demand, it's something that he's entitled to based upon his being a man. He's being that thing, that man, right? Okay, what does it mean being the man? Because that's where your value lies. Okay,
Yes.
being a man, as if we was to look at it, go back to the most simplistic, most primitive form of the man, is he goes out in the morning, looks for the rizq, and comes back in the evening. He doesn't stay at home all day, for example, unless he's working from home. But even in that case, it's not wise. So from the most basic, if we look at the most basic aspect of being the man is going out and providing, basically. That's and that's the way in which he kind of shows leadership. The second way is protecting the family. Okay, so these two things, being able to provide and being able to protect, let's call them the two P's, for example. Protect because you're the man's stronger, and protect means it's got two aspects. Protect doesn't just mean, for example, from imminent threat, someone about to attack. It means to make safe. Okay, and being safe means feeling safe. Okay, there's two things that that give contentment and bring about happiness, which are well known. If a person has safety from fear, this is one thing. Safety from fear. Okay, fear's two types: fear from external threat, and also fear from internal any type of internal abuse as well. So being able to provide security, which is through provision and not having to want, and safety, these are two things that a man has that where the value is in a man. If on the most basic level, everything else is on in addition to that. So for example, if he's going out and providing provision, and if he's providing protection, then he's generally taking the role of a man, and leadership is then he's he's expected, or his wife will respect him, not because he demands it, but because he deserves it, because he has value as a person. You understand? A man's value lies in being able to provide. A man's value lies in being able to protect. These are two key things. These are two key things.
Okay, just to dig a bit deeper on the topic, because the title was.
So I'm going back. So that's why, for example, in Islam, the rights that are of the role of the husband and the right of the wife in this regard is that for the husband is that he provides for her and he protects her. Those two, he provides for her and he protects her. Okay, that's her entitlement, her right. He provides for her and he protects her. No.
Yes. Okay. So obviously the day-to-day complexities of the family and holding together the family, the man, that's he's provided material, he's the guardian, but there is also being the cool-minded person, the person who has wisdom, the person who knows how to bring down a certain situation. He cannot be the emotional one in the relationship, if you get what I'm saying. Because obviously in any relationship, it goes up and down. What's his role? Should he be the calm one, the one to steer the ship? And this is in regards to holding the family together. Is this also part of the man's role?
Yeah, I think in this regard, then it's a partnership. So, and what I mean by that is that we're talking about this. We're talking about making decisions. We're talking about leadership. In this regard, you look at each circumstance and situation. But in this, they're basically the husband and wife. They work together in this role. And what I mean by that, it doesn't mean that, for example, the husband doesn't, the wife doesn't make it, gives up that submissiveness or that kind of femininity, and she wears the trousers. No, but what I mean is that her ideas and her input and her is valuable, and that being the case, it may be the case that her suggestions to problems and solutions are better than his. So he listens to what she has to say and he implements what she has to say when it works. And when it doesn't work, but fundamentally, a woman wants to be led. She doesn't want to be the one leading.
Okay.
On a simple level, going back to a simple level. For example, making a decision. So, for example, okay, what are we going to eat tonight? Okay, in that case, the man says, okay, let's have this. He's the one that, puts something forward if she's asked. He doesn't really return it back by saying, I don't know, whatever you want. Okay, I don't know, whatever you want. Okay, that's now not taking the lead. As simple as deciding what. So even if it's on a basic level, if she said, okay, what should we have tonight? Then he's now, going to make the decision. She's putting he shouldn't pass the ball back to her. Imagine playing football. She's passed to him to make a decision. He's passed it back. She doesn't want the ball. She's giving it to him.
Okay.
So in that regard, he needs to decide. He needs to decide and not be indecisive. So being indecisive in this regard doesn't benefit the relationship.
So it won't be seen as being giving the woman the choice, like, whatever you want to cook, darling, it's up to you. Or, if you want to.
No, not. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He might be easygoing. He might say, darling, cook whatever you want to cook. But you saying in certain situations, a man should be more decisive and not.
Yeah, he should be more decisive because that's his role and that's what she respects. So he should make the decisions, especially where she's passed it to him to make. Him being flexible and easygoing is praiseworthy in some scenarios, and in others it could be blameworthy. I.e., blameworthy not as in being negative, but blameworthy is shirking the responsibility of making a decision.
There's something which I want to bring up, linked to the role of the husband, and that is in regards to being responsible for the bills, putting his name on the tenancy agreement. That's by default, that he's the one who carries that responsibility. But we know there are some scenarios, unfortunately, where the husband might say, okay, let's leave all the stuff in your name. I'm not really around legally, right? Everything's in your name, but I'm here for you anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? Is that undermining his responsibility? Hold on 1 second, Abdul Hamid, yeah?
Okay, Imam Abdullah is here when you're ready, yeah?
Okay. Can that undermine his role as a husband in the house if he doesn't put himself forward to be on the tenancy agreement, the bills, etc.?
Without being specific to anyone's situation, because everyone has their own
it's a general thing.
And as is known in Islam, with regards to the relationship, everyone can make tanazul of their huquq if they want to. So, for example, the woman can make tanazul if she needs to. Sometimes the man can make tanazul of huquq if he wants to. This is his haqq to do, generally speaking. So if two parties, if the husband and wife have an agreement and it's for a maslaha that suits them both, then that's fine, as long as they understand what they have full knowledge of what it entails and what the impact that it can have, basically, and then they can change that later. But generally speaking, there needs to be trust in the relationship, and that trust is built upon the fact that she's married to him because she values him as the husband and as the man, and that means allowing him to take the responsibilities of the man, and that means him stepping up and doing it and acting on it without thinking, okay, well, if this guy, having kind of in the back of your mind that, no, I need the backup plan, I need a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, so I'm going to make sure that everything's in my name and stuff like that. That stuff is that's like going into it 1 foot in.
Yes.
There's not full commitment. You see what I'm saying? And in that regard, it's already left open to put the door to fit. Now we know, for example, how these type of relationships end in many cases. With this, sad as it is, when using these things as a means of punishment or whatever for the husband. Or so yeah. So generally speaking, I would say that it's better that these things are in the man's name, unless there's a masla and not doing that, and then in that case you should be careful. Everyone has to have full knowledge.
I'm saying from a respect point of view and his standing, by default he should have things in his name, because otherwise it can weaken his standing, especially if his name is not. Especially if his name is not in the tenancy agreement for whatever reason.
By default, yeah, for whatever reason, by default he should be the one that maintains and provides, and he's the one that. That doesn't say that he can't put things in her name, but again, it should be the case that his value lies where in him being able to give, provide.
Yes.
So yeah, there's no okay, I'm gonna buy you this, I'm gonna put this in your name, this is for you. Are you giving us ownership of stuff? That's obviously good and kind. Do you get what I mean? But it shouldn't be a case of him saying, no, I don't want anything in my name because of this. No, he should take responsibility and take ownership of that.
Excellent. Okay, I think we have Imam Abdullah from Senegal. He's here to give us some advice. Assalamu alaikum. Abdul Hamid.
Imam Abdullah.
Imam Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
تسمع الشيخ؟
السلام عليكم Sheikh, can you hear us?
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you?
Alhamdulillah Sheikh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, can you give us some advice to the men as to their role that they must play in securing the family unit? What is his role, Sheikh?
Okay, man as a husband, they have a role because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Al-rijal qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa." Al-qawwama is the one who takes responsibility in terms of providing place to live and provision, to eat and drink and clothing. This is a responsibility of the husband. But sometimes people are in different situations of financial issue. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِيُنْفِقْ ذُو سَعَةٍ مِنْ سَعَتِهِ وَمَنْ قُدِّرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا آتَاهُ اللَّهُ. Everybody spend according to their financial situation. And no one can spend something they don't have. So then every single one, they take their responsibility in terms of spending according to their ability, the means Allah has given them.
Yes.
So, but from country to country, people are in a different situation.
Yes.
You know, the situation in Europe is different from the situation in other countries. Other countries doesn't matter how hard it is, but husband being able to provide a place for the wife to live with him, and do everything to provide food and in other places, you know.
Sorry, I think I just cut you off. 1 second, sorry. Hold on 1 second.
To be the qawama to the family, to be the leader, to be the one who is the provider, to the one who guide and teach and help until everybody can go in their own way accordingly. So this is the responsibility of the man. That is why Allah said in Surah At-Talaq, "Askinuhunna min haythu sakantum min wujdikum." Allah said, you provide your wife a place to live, second, which is house or flat, whatever, according to where you are living. If you have one bedroom, with her in one bedroom. If you have two bedrooms, you live with her in that place. If you have a house, you live with her in that house. But people are as an individual in different situations. Everybody do what they can according to their situation. This is all I have to say regarding this. But the man has the responsibility to act according to the way Islam drove for him to act accordingly. Wallahu a'lam.
Sheikh, can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Okay. As well as the financial or the material needs that he provides for the wife, what about the actual leadership role? The fact that he should be...
Yeah, that's what I said. The leadership role.
No, but that point of having wisdom, that point of having patience with the family, that he doesn't allow his emotions. He has to be the cool and calm
understanding. Patient and understanding. Yeah, having patience and understanding. Sometimes parents, the man himself, faces up to some difficulties, especially when the children start growing up. They start challenging him.
Yes.
According to the situation of Europe, always is different from other countries. Other countries, the children always they respect their parents. They listen to them, even if there is some very few individual who turn, but not many in other countries. But in Europe, the situation is totally different. Totally different. It's like when the children start growing up, they turn against their parents. That is the thing. So that is a problem. Even if the man who tried to, some people, alhamdulillah, Allah help them, they never experience that type of problem. Allah help them with their children, they listen to them, they have a patient with them, they alhamdulillah. But many is a very serious problem with their children. So, but that needs patience and understanding, and try to sit down with them all the time, and then explaining things to them again and again and again, without getting frustration. Because sometimes people get frustrated with children because they always saying, "Oh, my children, they never listen to me." But you have to use different methods in terms of having understanding with someone's own children. You know, if I'm using this method, it's not working, then I'll use it until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help me to be able to have an understanding with my children, sitting with them down, explaining things to them, bit by bit, with patience. When we do that, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us. But sometimes, many of us fail to succeed in terms of guiding their children according to the way they want it. We know that is a serious problem, but still there is a hope that we can work out things and change the situation. Wallahu alam.
Now, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. The issue of you can hear me clearly, yeah, Sheikh? Yeah. I mean, the issue in the West of bringing up children in this environment is a difficult one. It's a very difficult one. And now in this particular chapter, we're talking about the role of the man, and whether they are children that he's currently with or it's his ex-wife, that he still has to work just as hard to make sure all of his children are being educated, looked after, saying, he doesn't just leave them. He doesn't just leave them to grow up fatherless. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is another point that, okay, if he wants to be the man who should be obeyed and listened to, etc., etc., it does take that hard work. This is something that we have to emphasize, that bringing up kids, bringing up the wife is hard work. It's not an easy role to fill. So can you just speak about this, Sheikh, about bringing up the kids and always being there, whether you're with that wife or not? Alaikum, Sheikh. Okay, well that didn't work. Sakum, Abdul Wahid. 1 second. Let me just... I think the brother got cut off. Did you hear that question I gave to Imam Abdullah?
Regards to the kids and the role of regards to the kids and the role of the father in their life.
Yeah, I mean, we know how difficult it is already bringing up children, let alone if they're children of an ex-wife. The fact that the man must still give those kids his time, support them, be with them, and that's obviously if the ex-partner is complying. But one reason I'm going on about this is that how do us men see our behavior from a community point of view? I might just say, well, okay, me and my kids is fine. I got an ex-wife 10 miles away, kids are running wild, or I don't business because me and my family here is doing okay. Do you get what I'm saying? But if the man is supposed to be this man, then it's up to him now to look after those kids as well.
Yeah, so again, the ideal situation is that the husband, he maintains his kids as well because they're his responsibility financially. How that happens, it's through a number of ways. Either he maintains them while they're with their mum, or he maintains them, he looks after them and takes them as well to live with him. Whatever's the most practical and in the best interest of the kids, that's it. I can maintain them, obviously, not just financially, it means seeing them as well,
Yes.
But primarily it begins with finances again. And what I mean by that is that the kids they're not according to his ability, but the point is kids, they cost money. They don't, it's not something, you can't just have kids and just think that there's no financial impact. It's not going to, and kids are also part of your wealth as well. The hadith are three things follow a person to his grave, his family, his wealth, and his actions. And from his wealth, his inheritors, they're his kids, they carry his legacy. So he has to invest in them, like he'd invest in his own business, or like he'd invest in his work, or like he'd invest in making money. Invest in his kids because they're his legacy. Okay, that investment that he puts in them it's education. It's, for example, training, skills, taking them out with whatever it is. It's a number of things. Okay, with regards to the kids though, it's not just the father. Okay, the mother, she's got brothers, she's got uncles. Do you know what I mean? She's got a father herself. So there need to be men in the life of the kids, like they need to be women. They need to see a balance. They need to see relationships, so that they know how to, because they're going to imitate, aren't they?
But
they have responsibility regardless of the behavior of the ex-wife or wife at the time.
But do you think that the main issue between couples is the financial issue, or is it that the man is not putting enough time, whether it be taking them to the park, spending quality time with them, being that man? It might be easy just to send across £100 a month and not see them for 3 months. You get what I'm saying? How would you weigh it up?
Yeah, of course. Again, it's without being specific, generally speaking, then if he's free, he's got time, then like I said at the beginning, they spend some time with him, they spend some time with the mum. in the ideal situation. The ideal situation, if they're with the mum weekdays, they spend weekends with the dad. If they're with the dad weekdays, they spend weekends with the mum. That would be an arrangement. Obviously there's circumstances where that's not possible for whatever reason, and then you plan around it. But yeah, they need both parents in their life. It goes without saying that children need both parents in their life, and the husband should want to be in his kid's life as well. The man should want his kids to. He should have that attachment to his kids, like he has to other things. No. And the mothers and each parents need to nurture that as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we discussed earlier concerning I was going to say, but the actual woman allowing the man to play the man role, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How can that also? How
not
does
allowed,
that?
it's just, yeah.
Mm.
There you go.
My point is, how can that undermine his situation in the house? That she may say, well,
If
I don't know.
again, not
Go on.
Yeah, go on. No, go on.
No, for example, sometimes our society, the society we live in, we you might say everything is 50-50. You're not above me, we're all equal. But in certain decision-making processes, we understand, okay, the man is darajat over the woman. But then if the woman doesn't give him that position, can that cause constant headbutting, if you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so how does the woman give him that position? That's the question. How does she give him that position? I mean, is it a case that she gives it to him, or she plays her role and he plays his? Yeah, she doesn't have to give him anything. She just has to play her role. So does she not know what her role is? She needs to find out what her role is. She needs to play her role, and if he's not playing her role, he needs to just remind her, that's not your role, this is my role. For example, you've got, you're stepping on my toes, basically. This is my role, you're stepping on my toes. Play your role, stick to your role, let me stick to my role, that's it. If he needs her to give it to him, that's a problem. If she needs to facilitate it, it's also a bit of a problem. It's less of a problem, but it's still a bit of a problem. You understand? He should know his role. He should act. He should fulfill it. She should know her role. She should fulfill it. If she's stepping on his toes, he should tell her. If he's stepping on her toes, she should tell him. She should tell him, "You're stepping on my toes. This is my role."
I get what you're saying. The angle I'm kind of reading where I started with the men first.
Like in the workplace.
The reason why I'm on the men's case, okay, because we say we are a darajat above the women. Allah gave us that position, okay. So then we should lead. It's not a case of we're waiting for the women to give us that position. We have that position. Now we have that position. How should we now carry ourselves? And from your experience, obviously, are the men carrying themselves in that role? Or where are the weaknesses that you see in dealing with issues with couples? If you can shed some light on that point. And the point is, don't worry. Next week is the role of the wives, but this week we got to deal with the issues that, okay, where are the men letting down the side? Okay, where are the key points where they're letting down the side? And next week we can then deal with the sister side and their role.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a look at in our community, for example, is I think that it's one of the biggest fitnas that we have at the time is the aspect of, and I think you pointed to it, the aspect of money and finances and work and income. and it's more difficult now. So, for example, there's a lot of people, things everyone wants. As kids grow up, they need certain things. They want a phone, they want this, they want that,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not free. They're expensive, and the mum wants to be able to give her kids give the kids what they want, and so she puts pressure on the husband, for example. And the husband's he's got limited resources.
Okay.
He might be working sometimes, not working
Okay.
other times.
You
You start to find conflicts. When the kids are young, it's easier to deal with. When they get older, it becomes harder. Also, as well, other things that they want to do. So, for example, the kids grow up, they want, there's other things as well, activities and stuff like that.
Just on that point there. No one in this country should starve. If you're taking home, say, roughly, I don't know, £500 a week, no one starve. You'll have your phone. You might have a little banger car. Kids are going to have some clothes. Okay, there is pressure to have brands. But as I said, when that pressure comes, the husband being the husband's got to know how to cool down the situation and say, well, okay, this week you can't have Nike. Maybe we can save, but he's got to be the cool head. If the wife is going off that, okay, we are going to have an Xbox, we've got to have, he got to say, listen, like, you can't have it. And she should know. So I'm saying, when the pressure is on, he got to know how to cool down the pot and just say, well, okay, you can't have it today, you can have it next month. But he should not be the one who's going to start screaming back at her, why are you on my case for? He's got to be the cool head. If finances are difficult, if he wants this position, I'm saying if this position, you're a darajat above just because of finances, but he hasn't got the cool head to deal with the responsibility of that pressure.
100%. He has to deal with it, and also as well, he has to strive to obviously give his family the best that he can give them, the best sadaqah can give to your family, obviously, but within his means. I mean, the thing is, you need to have compatibility in expectations as well. So, she has to know his expectations before she marries him. He has to know her expectations before he marries her, her standard of living before they get married. All of this stuff helping the relationship afterwards. It's no good finding out afterwards that she's used to certain things and then he's not used to them, or the vice versa. He's used to living a certain standard of life. He's content with that, but she's used to living to more. She's not content with what he's used to, for example. So these are issues that need to be resolved before they get married, so it doesn't become a problem inside the marriage. But outside of that, circumstances change anyway. And everyone has to be patient. And like you said, it might happen this month, might happen next month. However, there is a couple of points that I want to raise. I disagree that no one starves in the UK. As you know, that Marcus Rashford thing with regards to COVID and kids that go to school. Some kids, the lunch that they got was when they went to school. And they might not be starving as in the sense of starving, but there's definitely, there's a lot of children in our community, outside our community, for example, that are deprived. They're struggling. Their parents are struggling. They get money from the government, but that money doesn't just about covers their bills and expenses and basic food. So there's many cases of neglecting the news and stuff like that. So the point is, there's always pressure. There's going to be pressure, and the point of the man is that he's able to not just, for example, say, calm the situation, one thing, but also he should be resourceful. And what I mean by that is that he needs to push himself. That pressure needs to motivate and inspire him to, do more and be more ambitious. There's nothing wrong with having high ulul himma.
Aspiration,
being ambitious, aspiration and ambition are positive things. Why do we turn them into loving? That doesn't necessitate chasing dunya. Okay, so having aspirations and ambition doesn't necessitate a person being in love with the dunya. Wanting your. I mean, there's many examples you can see in the in the stories of the Salaf and previous with regards to aspirations. So it depends on each person's circumstance and situation. But generally speaking, the role of the man is that he's the one that the buck falls on at the end of the day. So he needs to manage the fitna of his family as well, and decide what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad, for them. That goes without That goes without saying. That's his role, and that's why his wife respects him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he can say no. That's it. That's his position.
Yes.
He can say no.
Just what comes to your mind in regards to divorces because of financial? Do you think it's due to financial issues, or are there other issues, or would you say the main issues that are putting pressure on marriages is because of finance?
No, I think it's the man not fulfilling his role in many cases. If we're talking about, for example, we're talking about the topic that you're speaking about now, then yeah, it's the man having a role and not doing it. It's the man and the woman being expecting him to fulfill his role, and he's not doing it.
You're talking about the financial one, or other things other than the financial?
I'm talking about he's not protecting and he's not providing. He's not doing either of them.
Okay.
So, for example, when I say he's not protecting, I'm saying outside the house, he's not providing. Inside the house, he's creating an environment. He's creating an environment of harm, toxic, or like a toxic relationship, for example. So he doesn't provide and he doesn't protect.
Okay. Being serious now. We're talking about building a Muslim community. We're talking about men stepping up to the plate, being that role model, building families, looking after your kids. What do we need to do? What do we need to do in order to knock the men into shape? Like I'm talking about.
I think, yeah. Personally, I think there needs to be more. I think there's two things.
Mm-hmm.
One is more kind of awareness on the importance of working, grafting, even if it's for a small income. The importance of actually grafting hard and being willing to put in patience in working. So, for example, everyone knows the story of Musa alayhi salam. How many years did he work to get married? For us, we're going to get, it's in some of our mindset. Basically, we have to change our mindset. We're not entitled to anything. We're not entitled to anything. We should remove that thing where we think we're entitled. We deserve to be paid a certain amount. We're entitled, so I'm not going to work for less than that. No. We have to, for example, be willing to graft for a long period of time and be patient doing that, because in the end, inshallah, it's going to pay off. At the least, this is the least, is that you get the respect of your kids and your wife. And that's what you want, your happiness at home. Yes. So you get the respect of your wife because she sees you grafting. And at that point, even if you're unable to provide, when you say no, she knows it's no, not because you're being lazy, or because you're not ambitious, or because you've got no aspirations. It's because financially, this is a risk that Allah's decreed for you after you've put in your effort and you've taken the means.
Yes.
So we have to instill a mindset of grafting, but also a mindset of ambition as well, and being aspiring for example, either social mobility through education, or through business, or through, for example, partnerships or whatever. Obviously halal businesses and halal investments and partnerships and stuff like that. And again, it's we have to be patient, knowing that it's not something that happens quickly. So, for example, it's not going to happen in a year. It takes, for example, maybe a quarter of a lifetime, or
to get established.
To build something, yeah. So, for example, the prophets they got Nubuwwah was at 40. 40.
Okay. How
when does the rust come? When does maturity come? Financial maturity come?
Yeah, probably till about 35, 40. But okay, we are faced with the point that in society, people want to get married young because of the fitna. So people might get married in their early 20s. Okay. They haven't got figured out maybe what they want to do professionally. That might then lead to low incomes. Should we actually, in regards to our daughters, maybe be more patient and said, well, until my man is a professional or until my man has got a trade, you're not getting married until he finds out what he's actually he's doing with himself. Then just lock down all the women and say, well, you got to come with something serious. Or do we find that we are marrying our women too easy?
No, marriage is always encouraged.
Yes.
But again, there's still the guidelines in Islam. So the boy has to be have the ability to get married and also be able to provide. If he's unable to provide because of the social circumstances, so you can't work until you're 17, you won't get a job until you're 18. Even then, his job's going to have minimum wage because he wouldn't have had any experience. Or if it's going to be that, you're going to be training, you're going to be an apprentice. If that's the situation where you live, for example, like it is here, then there has to be support from the community. So it's not a case that it can't happen, but it needs to happen, but it's going to happen in a different way. So there has to be other kind of support for them if they're going to get married. So parents have to be behind them, supporting them. They have to be, they themselves have to understand that, yeah, you might be getting married, but you're still considered kids. So there has to be kind of mechanisms that facilitate it. Because if they're not in place, then yeah, you're right. It's not going to be, you're going to have to tell your daughter to be patient until he's 21. He should really want to be patient until he's 21, 23, until he's got some money behind him, saved a bit of money while he's at home, not spent it, not get, if he wants to get married. Otherwise, he should do what other people do, be patient, don't get married, yeah, and carry on buying clothes and trainers, for example, if that's what he wants to do instead. But you can't have your cake and eat it.
Yeah, but would you encourage from the sister side? We look about now. Okay, young sisters wanted to get married. Okay, but the man himself.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah.
You with me? But the man himself has not found himself professionally. Maybe hasn't matured. Is that a bigger risk for her?
I mean, in all cases, like I said, marriage young is recommended as long as it fulfills conditions. For her, then yeah, she should wait until he's able to provide. If that's something that can be done, so they should wait. They should be patient. And stay away from fitna, obviously. But if, for example, they're going to fall into fitna, and they can get married, and they got the support of the parents, and they should do that. The point is, generally speaking, generally speaking, if you look at our environment and our society, where we're living in the UK right now, for example. Okay, so you're in full-time education to at least 18. Yes. After that, you are going to be doing a trade, an apprenticeship, or trade, or you're going to be looking for work, or you might be traveling to start. You might continue studies at university. In all those situations, you're still living at home, or you're still living with your parents. In all those circumstance situations, and as you know, for example, depends on your background, but rent's very expensive. It's hard to move out, and all this other stuff. Even when you've got a job, full time, it's hard to move out. So there's loads of things. There's too many factors to kind of, give a
specific,
a specific, But generally speaking, if you look at our society, for example, you say that the woman will get married, for example, around the age of from after she you'd say 21. This is what parents expect from their daughters. There's no set age. There's no right age or no wrong age. If you look at society, generally speaking, based upon the factors that you finish college at 18, and at 21 you finish university. If you go to university, the man is going to be, she'll be getting married around the age of 21. He'll be looking at the age of 23 to 25 before he gets married first. Why? Because that's giving him some time to work, save some money while he's at home. If he's going to do things sensibly or the right, do you get what I mean? If that's what he wants to do, So in many cases, it might be the case of telling kids to wait. No.
1 second. Some people have been sending some. I'm going to get to the questions in a second. People are sending questions on the chat. 1 second, Sheikh. 1 second, Sheikh. Okay, so we have the Precedent Society, where people are meeting, whether it be at school, colleges, and people want to get married. Okay. Obviously you're an imam. People are coming to you to and I'm gonna put on you. What is the criteria? Is your criteria for the gentleman who's saying, okay, I want to marry this sister? How you going to vet this individual? What's your criteria?
Or if someone comes to they want to marry a
Yes.
sister.
Yes.
Yeah, again, it always comes back down to what Islam says, the guidelines. So first of all, what's the state of their deen? So are they praying 5 times a day, for example? Are they striving to establish, are they, not maintaining the pillars of Islam? The second thing is, what's their character? Because the Messenger of Allah spoke about those 2 things in the hadith. That if a person comes to you, please, if his deen and his character, they marry him. So what's their character like? And this character, it includes something which is really important with regards to character, is kindness.
Yes.
Kindness and compassion. So a person that's kind and compassionate, then inshallah, they have a good character. They're gentle. They're kind, and inshallah, they're worthy of getting married. Basically, okay, kindness. It includes kindness in your speech. It includes kindness with what's in your pocket, your wealth. It includes kindness with every aspect of your being. Your look, your face, your smile, what you say. So if they fulfill those, like as in the hadith mentioned, then inshallah you start to facilitate and plan a marriage. It doesn't necessitate to get married, for example, that day or that week, but you start to look at how that can happen. So then you start to look at the families that are involved. Okay, are the families facilitated? Are they behind? And stuff like that. And then if you find there's support with the family, and the man he understands the responsibilities of marriage, then inshallah you try to facilitate, as long as it doesn't go against the law, meaning they're above the age of legally.
How do you understand making marriage easy?
As you know, my son got married and they're young.
Yes, I heard. Mashallah, barakallahu feekum, mashallah. Nice. Yes. How do you?
Put me on the spot. It's I'm giving advice against what
you did.
What we did.
but no, there is a concept of facilitating and making marriage easy.
It's challenging for kids.
It making marriage easy, right? But at the same time, it's the man, them being men. Okay, if the guy's a teenager, I don't know, he's 20, he's just growing up, he's not ready for that responsibility, but he's there. He's going to learn. He's going to trip up. He's going to get back up again. But I don't know, from the many, I don't know, things that I hear, are the men letting down the side? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm getting the vibe that, the men are letting down the side, whether it be not providing, or whether it be not being the man in the house. I've just got some messages, men not being romantic, men not, being too hard. You get what I'm saying? And that could be due to stress of society. Yes, the society is stressful. Carrying that burden is hard, but a man still got to come home and smile and be the husband and be the daddy at the same time. It's not easy, is it, bruv?
No, it's not easy at all. It's not easy at all. And I think everyone's got I think the men as well as the women, they're both contributing to they're both playing a role, and they both have ways to improve. It's not. I don't think it's one-sided at all. I don't think it's one-sided.
It's not one-sided, but it's because of the status of the man. Is the onus on him?
The onus is on, the onus is on both of them. The onus is on the woman to understand that she's her environment doesn't support her being submissive, and it puts her in a position where she's it puts her in a position where she's having expectations which are not necessarily real. She wants her husband to be a 21st century man, come home and when he comes home, he's going to clean, or he's going to cook, or he's going. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
Perhaps, or and if he doesn't, he's not helping out in the house. She's, stuff like that. There's other things as well. So she wants some of the things. It's, I think each person needs to fulfill a role that
Yes.
Islam gives them, not a role that the West has given them. They shouldn't feel entitlement based upon their situation. They should understand that it could be an ibtila, not a benefit for them. So, for example, being in a situation where, you have the upper hand financially in the marriages, and as a woman, it could be an ibtila. How are you going to respond to that? How are you going to behave with regards to that? Are you going to behave oppressively towards your husband, or are you going to behave in the correct manner as a Muslimah, for example, as Islam dictates from you? And likewise, with regards to the man, just as much as the man can oppress the woman can oppress the man as well. It can work both ways.
I see. Ismail Hamza, did you want to add something or speak to the Sheikh?
Yeah, Bismillah. From what I understand, that there needs to be a ta'awun ala birri wa taqwa. There needs to be cooperation on righteousness and fearing Allah. And the ta'awun between the man and the woman is both helping each other to fulfill their duties. So the man's responsibility in being the maintainers and the protectors of women, the wife, she can assist him in that. There may be times where he may want to do something, but he may be lacking in a particular aspect, and the wife can advise him, and she can even help him and support him to fulfill that duty. There's nothing wrong with that. And likewise, the wife, she has a responsibility which is known, looking after, making her salah. Her first thing is that she needs to know, like the man needs to know who Allah is, and worshiping Allah. That's why we've been created. The man and woman have been created to worship, and then after that, the wife, she has to obey and fulfill the instructions and please her husband. She needs to look after the household. She needs to look after the kids. But the husband, he can support her in that. He's responsible for ku anfusukum wa ahlikum nara. He's responsible for save yourself and your family from the fire. And as we know, this is like teaching the children, making sure that the children are educated. That's largely the responsibility of the man, to ensure he either teaches his family himself, or he pays money for his children to be educated, or it's a mixture of both. And the wife, if she's able, teaches the children, or it's a mixture of everything. He pays, he teaches, he helps his wife. Everyone mucks in. I don't see anything where it has to be strictly one way or the other. I know that the ayats concerning the men being the maintainers and protectors of the women were revealed in Medina. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he talked about the status of Khadija radiallahu anha, who supported the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when no one supported him, who helped him with her wealth, and who believed in him, and was the only one to give him children, and he upheld that throughout her life and throughout his life, all the way up to Medina, when Khadija radiallahu anha had passed away 10 years, 13 years before that. You see, so that is that is something to say that if it was Sophia Salama who advised the Prophet Muhammad about concerning the companions of Rasulullah who wouldn't shave their hair at the treat of Hudaybiyah. And she advised him, she helped him within his work and gave him advice as to what to do. So there's nothing to say that there shouldn't be this ta'awun. I think that the biggest problem that I find community is that it's not that we don't know our roles. The men don't know their roles. There's some challenges for the men in the society, because it's not like in Africa. You go into Africa, you build your house, and once you build your house, you've got no rent to pay, and you got to pay your electric bill. And if you decide that you're not going to pay your electric bill, then you got yourself a lantern, or you got some. There's no heating to pay because it's always hot. Once you grow your own vegetables, you just need chicken and fish, and occasionally you get some lamb or something like that. Things are a lot more easier, things are a lot cheaper. But here in the UK, it's very, 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 very difficult to get a place. So if a lady, if she has her own place and the place is in her name, you may find that a young man, or a man, would be young or not, who marries this lady, he may find that the property is in her name, but it doesn't mean because the property is in her name that he doesn't contribute. Also, for the sisters, it doesn't mean that because the property is in your name and it's your place, that you really have to you've got to tell the brother, this is my place, and blah blah blah, and you've got to, you know what I mean? You don't need to be like that. There need to be this cooperation in righteousness and fear in Allah Azza wa Jal, and you need to just get on. And then the other thing is that what languages are we speaking to each other? Sometimes people are, sometimes you want someone to do something for you, and to assist you, but if you're speaking to them in the wrong language, they can't understand you, and neither will they be more likely to do what it is that you want them to, if you are not speaking their language. And what I mean by that, the wife, she may be something of a romantic, so she might like her thing is quality time, just time for just you and her. Her thing might be that the physical touch. It's not touch your wife and then it's sex every time. Just the physical touch and spending quality time. It might be affirmation. It might be just affirming a wife, speaking about her good qualities and making dua for her and saying something good for her. It might be buying presents. Maybe you can't afford roses every week. You're poor. You're on £8 an hour, £10 an hour, whatever it is. You got small amount. You're on a part time. You're on 0 hours. You can't afford it, so you might have to make these presents. I might have to write up a card and send that to your wife, or send some emoji. Send the flowers by emoji. Roses. I love you. Emoji. You can't afford to go out and buy flowers. They cost too much money. So you're affirming, spending quality time, the physical touch, service. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Aisha, she reported something like this in this athar, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was at home, he used to help around the house. He used to sew his socks, and he used to mend his garments, and he used to help around the house. And when it was time for the salah, he would go out. So, but also we have the hadith of the wives of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, cooking, cleaning, washing, looking after Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But also we have this thing where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as the man, he used to help. So this what I'm trying to say is that yes, the duties are there. It's clear that the duties have to be there, so that everybody knows what they're doing. But you
Yes.
can be a bit relaxed. You can customize this thing, man. You know, you don't have to be just, oh, right, the man, he does this and that's, so once he's done that, he's done his duty. And the woman, she does that. You can mix it up a bit.
Yeah. Okay, Jazakallah khair, Hamza. Just to clarify some things. This particular Zoom discussion is about the role of the husband, the maqam of the husband, his responsibilities in leading his families, those things that may not be so flexible. That if he wants to be the man of the house, then these things are not there's not so much flexibility in it. Okay. And to find out from Imam Abdul Wahid, what are some of the weaknesses, some of the issues that the men are letting the side down. So we're gonna still carry on with the conversation. One brother, he put his hand up, so I'm gonna let him into the conversation. 1 second. If I can unmute him. Yeah. There you are, my man. Assalamu alaikum. 1 second. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How you doing, brother? You all right?
I'm good.
Fadda, Jazakallah khair for wanting to contribute. We're all ears.
All the time. So first off, I feel like, obviously from a younger brother in the community, I feel like, first off, it's about what the elders give to the youngers.
Okay.
You know, when we was growing up, it was always said to us, you know, if you can't get married, if you can't foot up the money, then obviously you have to fast, innit? Yeah, the majority of us, we're coming from the road. We don't want to hear all of that raw fasting, and that's the reality of the situation. But getting older, getting married, etc., going through relationships, etc., you realize that, Raj, you know what? Maybe we needed some elders to tell us, you know what? This is what you need to do. You need to get a steady footing. If you ain't studying, like i.e., and I'm not talking about Islamic studying. If people want to do that, they can do that. But I'm talking about, like, you're not studying to educate yourself to get a better job, or you're not going to be that person that's going to be grinding it out, whether that's your own business or a 9-to-5 thing. No one wasn't giving us that sort of play. You know, it was all of the not committing zina thing. And I understand, but I feel like that portion there of being educated or getting good jobs, it needed to be passed down. So that's the first thing I would say. Yeah. Secondly, I would say is that as men in general, like, man has to pull their weight. You see where I'm coming from? Like, life's hard in anything that you do. In anything that you do, anything that's worth it is going to be hard. Yeah. So you see, like, certain things where man's saying, boy, things, you know, your job might not allow you to stretch your means to get certain things for your wife or blah, blah, blah. For me, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. Not everyone's woman is going to be the type of woman that's going to be like, do you know what? I don't need a lot and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like part of it is getting to know who you're going to marry as well. Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't rush into marriage, I feel. I don't really feel that a lot of people have done the extensive research to find out who they're actually marrying. Like, who are they marrying? Who is this person? What are they? Where are they coming from? Yeah, because you're supposed to treat them like how they've been treated, huh? Like, if she's coming from a rich and wealthy household, then boy, you're supposed to be really trying to take on that sort of lifestyle that she's coming from. Yeah,
Yes.
and I feel like not a lot of people are really researching these sort of things here and trying to acclimatize themselves to being with this woman here. Yeah, I feel it's just very rushed, and we're just thinking about the be all and end all. Yeah,
Mhm.
and we're just rushing into those sort of situations there. That's what it is for me personally.
I mean,
Then
do
it's
you
all,
do you think so? Do you think marriage has people getting married too easy? People
I-
should go on.
I feel like it is a bit too easy. Like me personally, I think it is too easy, innit? Like
Okay.
it's just not a face and body thing. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Mm.
It's not just a he rolls around in a nice car thing. You
Mm.
get me? Like, who is he as a person? Who is she as a person? Like, is she motherly? Like, anyone can have a child, but are they motherly?
And is he fatherly? Yes.
Like, you get me? Like, how is he as a man? Like, because I hear a lot of people talking about, right, the wife's job. Like, I'm not gonna lie. You see, when I was growing up, how I've been raised to be an independent man, innit?
Mm.
Yeah. So I cook, I clean, I do all those things there. Yeah. And I feel like these things here, it helps out in the household, innit? Because you're able to say, well, do you know what? All right, I can do this and I can do that and I can help out honestly. Do you see where I'm coming from? Yeah. But then also on the flip side, can you help with the children, innit? Can you do certain things? And for the wife as well. It's not just a one-sided thing. Yeah. It's like your man could be putting in 100% in terms of jobs, in terms of work or whatever, and he might just need that little help. Yeah. Who says that a woman can't help? You know, who says that a woman can't help? And you know what it is? It's not necessarily all the time working. You know, sometimes he might have a business. Can you do admin for him? Can you help him with his CV? Can you help him? All these little things here. Don't let things go over your head. Like to say, Rod, you know what? Just because it's certain people's role that you can't now help them with that role. Because for me personally, a companionship, being a couple is two people working towards the same goals. Now, if your goals ain't the same, then why are you together? That's just my personal point of view of it. Yeah. I feel like you should be both working in sync to get to that goal. Whether the goal's Jannah, whether the goal's we want our children to be like educationally better off, whatever it is, you should be working towards that together. Yeah. It's easy to say, well, my man's the man, he's supposed to be the provider, rare, and blah, but that's easy. It's just like I can come home and say, where's my food? That's easy. That's easy. Anyone can talk the talk, but what's the reality? What are you walking? What are you actually doing? Yeah, just for food for thought. And I just feel like for men, like for us men, innit, like life's hard. Life's hard. And I could speak from my point of view, innit. Like I've come from the roads, innit. Like everyone can talk about but this man over here, he can do a little bit of road or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you see, when you're doing the road life, it's 10 times harder than working a 9 to 5. There's so much variables that you have to think about. You got to think about my man over there, the police over there, this person ratting me out over here, this person coming to rob me over here. With a 9 to 5, you're just working a 9 to 5 and you just have to stick to those hours, put in extra hours if you can, and get that money and go home. Yeah, that's what really truly if we really think about it. Yeah, so I don't see why it's so hard. Like obviously the economic climate that we're in right now, COVID-19, etc. It's
what about carrying this responsibility as a head of the family long term? Okay, we've got little kids, we're committed. Don't matter financial, we could be broke, we could be having bread and water together. Today, next month, we're doing training the mindset that both the husband and the wife are together for the long stretch.
I've been married for like 11 years now.
Mashallah,
like I've been married for like 11 years now. So when we're talking about the long haul, yeah, I'm a road man that's been married for 11 years. And before then, I had one girlfriend, bro. Like I've had one girlfriend in my whole life. I used to be that guy, innit?
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
when we're talking about the long haul, this is
Mhm.
what I'm saying when I'm saying like, are we finding the right partners? Like, are we really looking for partners that are for the longevity, or are
Longevity,
we
yeah.
looking for partners that are just here to fulfill a need? And
Got you.
this is the big point. You
Mm.
get me? When you're sitting down and you're having your meetings and that, are
Mm.
you looking for someone that you're bouncing off of? Like, you're really getting involved, like this conversation's like, oh, yo, I feel like I've known her for a long period of time. Or are you just trying to ask these little dead questions just to get over it, to just try and get there? This is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, are you really sitting down thinking, right, this is going to be my companion, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
let me see how this person is. Can I bounce off them? Are we laughing and joking? And all these little things here. And I feel like that's not really happening. It's not really happening. So we see when you get 2 years into the thing, and boy, the cover really comes off. Because let's be real, when you're going on meetings, it's a cover thing, a face cover thing. And then when you get married, then that's when the cover kind of slips off, and then you start seeing who you're really dealing with. Yeah, when the cover's slipped off, who are you really dealing with, man? Like, are you able to be like, well, boy, do you know what? I'm in this for the long haul because I like who the person is as a person, not the looks of them, like, not of how they're set, or you get me, what you see beautified of them. Like, who are they? Are you interested in them as a person? And I feel like that there is what make things really work out. Yeah.
Go on.
Go on.
Now, my because you like, and we are today talking about the men, and the mindset of the man. 1 second, Suleiman, I'll come to you next. How serious are you when it comes to your wife, your kids, and say, okay, I'm here for the long haul? What is it, that characteristic in you that my marriage is my priority, my kids are my priority? I don't care if we've got to climb mountains, it's us, we're going to the end.
So let's start from the beginning. When I went to get married anyway, the first part of my thing was, like I said, in it was just fulfill half of your deen, zina's haram, etc. Yeah, I was blessed enough to find a woman that when I got married, for me, I've always, even though I didn't want to get married being a roadman, yeah, my thing was, as a man, old school things, a man provides for his woman. That was my thing. This is what I knew of being a man. A man provides for his woman. However it happens, he does it. It gets done, innit? So when I got married, I was looking to work a 9 to 5, like all the hours under the sun to provide for my woman. And that was my sort of thing. So I got married, and then my wife was the one that said to me, do you know what? I don't want a man to work all the hours under the sun. I want a father for my children. You get me? So she kind of span it on the head. So I'm like, raw, hold on, that's mad. You get me? So this is what I'm saying. Like, when you have people that are working together, like your aspects change. Because now I've deeped her side of it now. Like, okay, it's true. If I'm working all the hours under the sun, my children really gonna have a father figure in their household. Yeah. Good. So this is something that we have to think about as well. If you're working all the hours under the sun, where is the father figure coming from? You get me?
Gotcha.
So it's a balance as well. But like I said, if you don't know who you're marrying, then you don't know what to balance and how to work things out and blah, blah, blah. But for a man, as a man, I feel like whatever needs to be done, it needs to be done. Like, whoever knows me, they know me. I got a business. Like, I've been doing my business for like 8 years in Brixton. Yeah. It's not been an easy thing. I've started it from £100. Yeah. So whatever anyone sees on my business, that started from £100. No one else ain't never put into my business. I've had to grind for that and provide for my family whilst I was grinding for that. Yeah. And I work part-time jobs and I do whatever I need to do. So I'm not going to say that, raw, it's easy. It's not easy. But
Mm.
what in life do you know that's worth working for? That's easy. Simple
So
as that.
you're right. Brother, Jazakallah khairan for that.
Yeah.
Nice one, bruv. Let me go
Yeah.
to Abu Sulaiman. 1 second. Faddal, Abu Sulaiman, you wanted to. Did you come through? 1 second.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam.
I'd just like to say Jazakallah khairan to the brother, what he has mentioned. And most of the points are relevant to what to the Muslim brothers. But I think regarding your main question, from what I understand, it goes back to the upbringing that the person or the individual has that makes him who he is. So if your upbringing is that you got to be responsible, you got to be caring, you got to be somebody who is the provider for the family, then you're going to do your utmost to do that particular thing, to make available the means to look after your family. But if you don't have that upbringing, that thinking, that mentality of being the man, being responsible, being caring, being loving, all of those things that have been mentioned from the life and the example of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then you will find that sooner or later people are exposed for who they are. And one of the things that I would say is that if you look at the upbringing or the society that you're living in, nobody, or few people, from what I understand, from what I've seen, few of the people don't look at reality that they're living in, and they're applying it as if there's no reality. So you will find that when it comes to being responsible for women, is that if the woman is able to get away to do things, then I'll let her do it. I'll just chill, because from the Sunnah I cannot free mix. That's what many brothers will say. I cannot free mix, because the workplace is free mixing, education is free mixing, the whole society is free mixing. So the only way that the brother or the individual can protect himself, that what you will say is that I'm going to stay home. So then you have this a set mentality that may be put forward to many of the youngsters, whether that be especially boys, that you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But at the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if you look at the society that he lived in, when they were, many of the women, they were doing tawaf half naked. We concern about seeing the leg of somebody at work, but end of the day, we
Well,
need to
that's
fear Allah.
before Islam.
I
Before
know.
Islam.
No, I'm just saying that that's when Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he came, a messenger, people are still doing that. Until
Yeah.
Islam came to Mecca, it was
Okay.
stopped. But I'm just saying that the environment of nudity was there. And I'm saying that the nudity here, some brothers who may say, oh, I cannot work in a mixed environment. They're not showing to you anything. You may have a colleague working next to you, or a table away from you, or they may ask for help. Other than that, you do your job and you move along. 9 to 5. So again, I would say, like what the previous brother said, if the mentality is not there to be firm, to be upon the Sunnah, to fear Allah, then anything and everything is an excuse for us not to fulfill our role. And that's why example that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the well-known hadith, in action by intention, everybody shall what they've intended. If he made hijrah for Allah and His Messenger, then that's his hijrah, that's his migration to Allah and His Messenger. And whoever made a migration to take a woman at the marriage, then that's his reason. So everybody has a reason why they're marrying. If it's just to marry the woman for the sake of the woman, but not for fulfillment of the religion, not to get closer to Allah, then we may have problems within our community, which may manifest itself sooner rather than later. And you will find also the upbringing. Many of us have different upbringing in life because of different cultures, different backgrounds we come from. We have to take that into consideration when it comes to being responsible. Sometimes, certain men may be, what do you call it, very, calm, very soft, which some, sisters may not like, whereas other sisters may prefer rough and tough men. So we got to look at everything, individually, as and what may be the cause of the problems for our community as a whole, rather than just say, for example, each man may not be the same, each man will be different. So we need to look at it in a more clinical way rather than just general way, inshallah.
Excellent. Let me just call Abdul Wahid if he's still here. Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Wahid. Assalamu
Alaykum salam
alaikum.
wa rahmatullah.
Assalam. Quick question came to my mind. Do we have too much expectations of our women? Meaning, sometimes we have this romantic idea of the women, us coming home from work and the women washing our feet, and you know, a certain, you might say, Eastern kind of this. We use the word submissive. The wife should be submissive, but we're living in the West, okay? And there's a Western mentality. There's probably the effects of feminism. There's the effects of the equality. But we're going to say, okay, I'm this man now, okay?
Yeah.
How does the man flex in order to
Yeah,
hold together his family unit? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, everyone wants his wife to, treat him like a king, basically. So everyone wants to be treated like a king. Every husband wants to be treated like a king. Okay, so the wife should know that and do what's pleasing for her husband. Okay, likewise as well, every wife wants to be treated like a queen, so the husband should know that and treat his wife like a queen. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. Our environment has an impact on us, and it makes us. It's molded us. It doesn't mean we can't slowly undo it. So, for example, going back to what Islam says, that the traditional role it's not something which is foreign to the West. It's just something which is, it's not in our history. But if you go to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, it was a traditional family unit, for example. The man worked, he was a breadwinner. That changed after World War because of the men going off and dying, the women having to work, and then they went to the factories, and then they stayed in the factories, and then they, for want of capitalism or for whatever reason, there was this push to get the women in the workforce. Do you know what I mean? But pay attention, notice how that this is usually on the, when you look at the social structure of the society, this isn't in the upper classes or even the upper middle classes. This starts, this is at the lower classes, the majority of people. But the people that, for example, are able to, the women that are able to not work, generally speaking, they don't work, they stay at home and they raise a family. So that's always the better option.
But do you think the women are
as long
affected?
as there's enough finance to do so? That doesn't mean that women can't work and they shouldn't work either. As long as they're working in the same environment, and they should contribute and they should help together. But the point is, there's always going to be a trade-off for that. There's always going to be a trade-off. Don't think that you make one choice, it doesn't have an impact on another. There's a trade-off for something like that. So going back, I think that it still comes down to, there's roles. There's a fact where men are biologically made a certain way. There's a role that fits that biology, and women are made a biological way. There's a role that fits that. You can't change those things, basically. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? When you start, you can't change that. That men are made a certain way, women are made a certain way. Okay, you're made in physically a certain way, and you fit a certain role. The more you're going to complement, everyone's going to complement each other when they fulfill that role. That's it. When you start to, for example, fulfill the other role, you're going to find problems, and that's just how it is. Do you know what I mean? That's just, I don't think there's no science to it. There's no science to it. It's common sense. And I think one of the
I think what is important is Abdul Wahid. What I think is prepping the individual for that role. Being prepped, like mentally, being responsible, being there for the long run, understanding what marriage is, understanding that I'm going to have children, I'm going to have a wife, I'm responsible for them. We're moving together as a unit. Then obviously within that, the nuances, you give your wife love, you look after her, speak good with her, you joke with her in the house, etc., etc. Okay, sometimes things are going to go wrong.
Also, if she's ill, you look after her.
Yes.
If she's ill, you look after her. You take care of her when she's unwell. You look after, you make sure the kids. The whole package, 100%. You're there emotionally as well as physically. You're there physically, you're there emotionally. They're in not just, for example, okay, here's money and that's it. I'm off.
Yes.
Sitting in the cafe all day.
With your brothers.
Okay, as long as I'm with the brothers. Okay, I'm giving you money. What you can pay for? No, it's not just money. the emotion as well as physically, and also as well, a portion of your time is, if you're not working, you should be at home. If you're not out doing something, you're not out, you don't have a purpose outside, your time should be spent at home. And I think one of the things which is really key, and I think it's something which as a community we need to really, focus on, is what Abdurrahim mentioned about the mindset before you get married, not rushing into marriage and knowing the person before you get married, and the mindset that, you get married, that even before you get married, as a man, you're resourceful. You're a man because you're resourceful, because you're gonna go out and you graft and you can work and you can put up with, for example, like you said, you can be patient with certain circumstances. Women can be patient with different circumstances that a man can't be patient with.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
A man can be patient with circumstances that a woman can't. A man can be patient out grafting. A woman can be patient with the kids. Put a man with the kids, he can't be as patient as a woman. Put a woman out grafting, she can't be as patient or as resourceful as the man, generally speaking. And that's generalizations. But the point I'm getting at is that there's nothing wrong with instilling in children, and it's important to nurture in children a work ethic.
Yes.
Not an entitlement one, number one. And the second thing is ambition, and to have high aspirations, whether it's through education or whether it's through training, whether it's through entrepreneurship. But the point is that aspiration should be there. Yes, money is not a dirty word. And to aspire for the dunya so that you can benefit your children and your family is something which is praiseworthy. It's something which is praiseworthy. If you inherited money, then alhamdulillah. If you didn't inherit money, then you work for it. You see what I mean? And I think this is important. I think that we need to have a strong emphasis on the importance of grafting and working and education, and whether it's a trade or whether it's a profession or whether it's a business, i.e. the importance of, for example, look at fiqh. Let me give you an example.
Hold on.
Our deen isn't just ibadah. I mean in that it's not just the arkan of Islam. The arkan of Islam is our relationship with Allah. But if you look at the books of fiqh, our deen is comprehensive. So it's a whole way of life. We always say it speaks about how we are with our Lord, and how we are with our parents, and how we are with our children, how we are with our spouses. But why do we always not mention, for example, okay, how do we earn money, and what should we be doing to earn money, and how can we increase our wealth through business? That's also a big chapter in the books of fiqh. That's a quarter of the books of fiqh, basically.
Yes.
The Quran speaks about contracts. It speaks about zakat and giving money, and it speaks about earning money. It speaks about different. You understand? So that is also important to teach our kids. One of the disservices that we do in our community and in the education system, generally speaking, is that it focuses on, for example, teaching kids how to be a employee, for example, for somebody, but not the function of wealth or wealth acquisition, what's considered wealth, how to because wealth isn't always, there's something called social capital. It's not money. It's not money, it's value that you add. Your wealth, your worth as an individual based upon the value you add to your community, and it's not how much money you spend. So there's something called social capital which you can build, and that's an asset. That's giving you worth. That's giving you value. We need to speak to, for example, our kids or to the community, the youth. When I say our kids, I'm talking about the youth. The brothers that are going to be getting married, for example, in the next 3 years or 4 years, about building social capital, value as an individual, your worth, your self-worth, yourself. What people, i.e. the more people that rely and depend on you, that's your social value.
They speak well of you. They're
That's
always
your social
calling
capital. That's your social capital, basically. Do you see what I mean? So this is something that we need to instill in our kids. So they want to do what? They want to graft, they want to contribute, and they want to build, because they understand that their value as a man, we're speaking about all of them, man, is in that, not in, for example, sitting at home and depending on their wife, for example, or thinking, like the brother mentioned, that okay, I can't go to work because my deen stops me from free mixing, so I'm going to stay at home instead. No, the deen that stops from free mixing stops you from sitting at home and doing nothing all day.
Yeah.
The same
question-
deen
a
you're
question-
talking about.
Someone sent a question actually in regards to someone who wants to be a student of knowledge, and because he's pursuing knowledge, maybe the excuse is I can't get a full-time job. Then the wife is on the dole, on the social, claiming, and he's maybe going all the way around the world studying, and obviously the wife is not happy about that. What's your opinion of that?
My opinion of if a person is a proper student of knowledge, i.e. he's actually studying and he's progressing, and he's going, like, for example, he's in one of the Islamic universities in Saudi or another country, then while he's studying, if she's willing to be patient, then that's a good thing. Inshallah, she'll be rewarded. But if he's not a proper student of knowledge, you know, he claims to be a student of knowledge, he's attending Dawrat here and Dawrat there, but he's not really a student of knowledge in that regard. He's not spending his time like that. Then he's deceiving himself, and he's deceiving. He needs to combine between both. The companions, they combine between taking knowledge and dunya. They combine between both. It wasn't a this or that. It's not mutually exclusive. Where if you student knowledge, you can't work, for example. No, you work and you study. You earn a living and you study. Yeah, your living's less, your income's less as a result of the time, but you still earn as well.
I mean, so
inshallah, if she's patient, inshallah, she'll be rewarded. Inshallah, the best inheritance is knowledge.
If I just read the rest of the question, either person is getting a second wife, he's unable to support the first wife. You know, he's a student of knowledge, he's married, his first wife is on the social, he's planning to get a second wife, and then he says it's sunnah. What do you have to say about that?
This is coming from the brother, from the sister.
This is from, this is from the. Well, the brother sent the question anyway to the group chat.
Yeah. Oh, it was the brother that sent it.
Yeah, but obviously it's from the sister's point of view that obviously he's claimed to be a student of knowledge, got one wife on the social, plans to get a second wife, and then claims this is he can't support both of them, but he's saying this is the sunnah.
Yeah. For her situation, specific situation, she needs to get advice. As regards to supporting and all that other stuff, then what was he doing? He wasn't supporting a group when he didn't get a second wife. What's the second wife got to do with it?
No, I mean,
the second wife has nothing to do with the issue. He's either supporting or he's not supporting her. He's either being patient with that or she's not being patient with that. Is she being patient with it as long as he's only got one wife? If you take the second wife, you say, no, hold on a minute. I can't be patient with him taking a second wife and not supporting two wives. I can be patient with only not supporting one wife. What's changed? What's changed in her situation?
But I think obviously
I'm not condoning it. I'm highlighting. It's a loaded question. It's a loaded question. Obviously, it's a loaded question.
I think it's enough that he's not supporting
one wife. That's the issue.
One
the
wife.
issue isn't the second wife. Wife.
Yeah.
That's
but
enough
I think
to do with it.
that just puts fire on the thing, and it puts petrol.
Of course, that just makes it worse. She could be patient as long as he was only with her, but she's not going to be patient with her situation if he wants to take a second wife and enjoy himself, supposedly.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Jazakallah khairan, Abdul Wahid.
There was one question that came earlier, so I want to address it because it's relative, and Sheikh Ismail mentioned it as well. Sister's already got her own place.
Yes.
She lives there, and she gets married again. So if she gets married, he's going to move in with her.
Yes.
He's going to move in with her. She's in his name and her name. There's no reason for her to add him to it, and unless, especially if, for example, it's she's talking housing and all that stuff. But if, for example, after they've she's comfortable, confident that he's decent, he's there for the long haul and stuff like that, and he's paying all the bills, why not add him? What's the reason not to add him? That would be the question.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I.e., what's the reason not to add him if, for example, it's not got enough to do with the social and benefits and all this other stuff? If he's saying I'm going to pay everything, I'm going to do everything, I'm going to take, and he's actually doing it, he's proven himself, he's got the back to do it. And if, for example, it's a case that he's not doing that, then there's going to be potential for problems in the future based upon what commonly happens. If there's an argument, then the nature of a woman is she might say, get out. He should hold his ground and not leave. Say, no, I'm not leaving. You can't kick me out. You know, especially if there's no violence involved, stuff like that.
1 second.
There's an issue.
Saikom,
And not cower from being a man. No.
my question will be that one, if the man is moving into the woman's property, he should insist his name goes on to the tenancy agreement. You just say it's a council house, okay? I want to be responsible for the, whatever bills come. Say she refuses and say, well, no, this is my house. You're moving into my house.
Which is the case at the moment. Kind of thing.
Okay. Is that a situation where you say, well, okay, well, if we're serious with each other and I want to be the man of the house, then my name's got to go on the tenancy agreement. Doesn't mean I own the house. All it means is that when the paperwork comes, when the bills come, this is my house. But she might say, no, this is my house. Should the woman give up that right? And what should the man say?
Yeah, like I said, I think that if she's yeah, I think that if that's something that he said after, and it's something which is not after she's seen that he's good for his word, for example, then I can't see an issue in it. I personally don't see an issue in it. If that's the case, like if it was the other way around, I'd say the same. So for her security, if she's moved in with him, and if after a period of time, we're talking about a council house, and she wants security, and she say, look, we've got kids, we're doing, put me on the thingy, and I can't see why he would say no. What would be the reason to say no?
Yeah, I mean the worst thing.
And Allah knows best. I mean, in most cases, it's there's other things that that have an impact on it. But again, if it's a case of it just being that he's working full time and he's maintaining her completely, with all his finances and stuff like that, and she's not dependent on anybody apart from him, which is how it should be anyway, generally speaking. And she has an income from her work or from what she does as her own hustle, then yeah, I can't see an issue in it. But that's after she's got up trust and the confidence that it's he's the one and stuff like that. Allah knows best.
Okay, I think we've got a contribution from Murtaza Khan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. This is a question for you. It seems like the common theme is that either the man, since this is about husbands, the man lacks the leadership qualities or skills or financial responsibility. Do you see cases of which it's neither? That is okay, but there's other cases involved where marriages don't work out?
Say again. I didn't hear. It got cut out.
How far do you want me to go? So do you see those situations where the man is financially responsible, he's not temperamental, so he's not lacking any sort of leadership? Do you still see marriages fail in other ways? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Shaitan is haris. Shaitan is haris. So marriages will fail, and it's got nothing to do with the man. Marriages will fail. It's got nothing to do with the woman. Marriages will fail. It's not to do with any of them except for third parties outside. There's many causes. Sometimes the woman's what's the word? Nushuz. So there's nushuz from the woman, so disrespect or lack of obedience to her husband for no reason, or lack of love for her husband, for example, or disobeying him going out in the house. There could be loads of things. That's from the woman's side. Then there's things from the man's side. The man not being able to not spend time with his wife and not providing and not protecting and not maintaining. And there's things that have nothing to do with both of them, but a third party interference from other family members, people doing magic and sihr, trying to break them up and stuff like that. So there's a number of factors, and that's why I say this. If generally speaking, there could be compatibility issues. Like, for example, the Abdurrahim mentioned earlier, they could be, both of them could be good, but they didn't research properly, so they're not compatible. They find that out afterwards, so they made a mistake somewhat. And what I mean by compatible, they rushed into the marriage. They didn't check out the families weren't involved. They didn't know, for example, the person's background properly. They only saw what they was being shown. The woman wasn't honest in what she was saying, what she's willing to give up. He wasn't honest in what he's willing to offer, stuff like that. And then it doesn't work out either, because there's lack of compatibility when they get to know each other properly. So those are factors, which is why the most important thing is always going to be honesty from the start, and looking at the family, not just the individual. And then, and doing your research. Like, if you want to, I said this before, if you want to invest, or if you've got money you want to invest it, you should do your research properly. Otherwise you're at risk of losing you're at high risk of losing your investment. And if you did the research, and risk is always there. The risk is always there. Allah's the one that brings our hearts together. So you have to always supplicate Allah as well.
Excellent. Okay, we're gonna summarize. Sheikh Abdul Wahid, give us a quick nasiha to the men of this community. What do we need to do to look after our families and support our families? What do we need to do, man?
Bismillah, first of all, make dua, take the means, and trust in Allah. That's it. What I mean by that is, take the means, like the hadith about the bird that leaves the nest in the morning, seeking rizq, and comes back with food, basically. If we had full trust in Allah, like this hadith is clear, because it's the analogies, the example is beautiful. Messenger of Allah mentioned, if we trusted in Allah with a full trust, we would find the rizq like the bird that leaves the nest. So point is, there's 2 points here. There's a trust, and then there's taking the means. So you have to leave. You have to leave out. You have to have ambition. You have to go out. You have to graft, basically. You have to put in work. You have to put in work, and that's the most important for the man. You have to put in. Like Abdurrahim really summarized it really well. You have to be willing to graft. You have to be willing to work for your family. If you're not willing to work for your family, for your kids, then obviously you're going to get the results, that whether it's from your kids or from your wife's behavior towards you, or your kids' behavior, looking at when they grow up, how they look at you, how they see you. They're going to see who their father is, his value, his worth. So build social capital, basically.
Jazakallah, I see you have to go. Okay, we're going to round it up now. Jazakallah everyone for their participation. There's nothing really more to say on the topic. Next week we'll be dealing with the role of the wife in keeping together the family unit. I've still got some of the questions here, and hopefully I'll ask some of them for next week. But jazakallah everyone for participating and your contributions, and inshallah I will see you next week. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاك الله خير.
بارك الله فيكم.